Welcome to the webinar on the Paid Lunch Equity Tool in the Web Applications System. In this webinar, we'll be discussing how to complete the PLE tool in the Web Applications, which is a brand new way to complete it. If you want to complete the Excel tool like you're used to doing, there's a separate webinar that goes through how to complete that. This one I find is a little easier to do, so I recommend maybe trying it out, maybe trying out doing the tool both ways and see which one you prefer. Doing it in web applications is kind of nice because it pulls information from your application packet and from your claims for you, so it is a little easier in my opinion. Just make sure that your information in your application packet is correct, since this PLE tool is pulling from that for the information. To access this new PLE tool, you will click on Applications, and then you will click on Paid Lunch Equity Tool. Then you will click on Create New Request. This will take you to the PLE tool. The PLE tool is all on one page in the web application system, and then it's broken down into different sections. The first section is the 2019-2020 weighted average price requirement unrounded. This is the same as the unrounded price requirement calculator in the Excel tool file. In this section, you will get to choose to either complete the tool with your 2010-11 weighted average price or to complete the tool with your 2018-19 unrounded price requirement, which can be found on last year's tool. If you don't have either of those numbers, you can contact us at DESI and we can help you locate one or the other to help you complete this tool. If you choose to use the 2010-11 weighted average price, you'll click this radio button, and then you'll enter in your 2010-11 weighted average price. Again, if you're not sure what that number is, contact DESI and we can help you with that number. So in this example, we used $2 for the 2010-11 weighted average price. After we've entered that $2, then these other numbers will automatically fill in. These are the 17-18 through 19-20 price requirements that will be calculated for you. And then the 19-20 price requirement will be rounded down to the nearest 5 cents. In this example, it's still $2.90. If you want to use your 2018-19 unrounded price requirement instead of your 2010-11 requirement, then you'll click that radio button and then you will enter in your price. The 2018-19 weighted average price requirement can be found on your previous year's tool. So on the previous year's Unrounded Requirement Finder tab, so in the 18-19 PLE tool on the Unrounded Requirement Finder tab, this is located on step 1, and it's that second box, that white box on step 1, where it says 2018-19 weighted average price requirement. So you'll take, in this example, that $2.77 and put it in the box below. That price requirement is located on multiple places in last year's PLE tool, but this is kind of the easiest one for me to find usually. So I'll take that $2.77 and put that in this year's tool. So our hope is in the future, if you complete this PLE tool in web applications in the future, hopefully it will pull in this number for you so you won't have to find last year's tool because it's already in the web applications. So we're hoping that's how it will function. So here, after I enter in the $2.77, the 2019-20 price requirement will be calculated for you. And then again, it rounds down to the nearest nickel. The next section on the PLE tool is the 2018-19 weighted average price calculator. This is where you'll calculate if you need to increase your prices for the school year. Now, what's really nice about doing the PLE tool in the web applications is that these numbers automatically pull in for you. So these meal counts automatically pull in from your October claim, and this lunch price automatically pulls in from your application packet. So please make sure that information is correct. In this example, we just have one price point, but if you have multiple price points, those multiple price points will all calculate for you automatically, and then it will show you calculate your weighted average price. So in this example, their weighted average price is $2.50, and then the rest of this tells you if you're required to increase. So the price increase that it calculates for you is 40 cents. However, with paid lunch equity, we never require you to increase more than 10 cents. So then the next one will apply that 10-cent cap. So the price that you would be required to increase to is $2.60. So if you were at $2.50 before with the 10-cent cap, they are only required to increase to $2.60. So if you're going to increase your prices instead of using non-federal funds, you are done. You don't need to complete the other sections of this tool, so you can scroll to the bottom of the screen and click Save. And please make sure to print off a copy and save it in your records. The next section on the tool is 2019 Pricing Estimation Calculator Optional. And like it says, this section is optional. You can enter different price points to make sure your planned price increase will meet the weighted average price requirement. So in this example, since we have to be at $2.60, instead of increasing everybody to $2.60, I can use this section to play around with the prices and say, what if I have half my students at $2.70 and half my students at $2.50? So maybe my high school gets charged $2.70 and my elementary and middle gets charged $2.50. Then what will my weighted average price be? And as long as that comes out to $2.60, I know that those prices that I'm playing with are going to meet my requirement to get me to that $2.60. Again, this section is optional, but it just allows you to enter in your prices that you're planning to change it to and make sure you're hitting that weighted average price. Then the last section is the 2019-2020 Non-Federal Source Contribution Calculator. You'll complete this section if you want to transfer non-federal funds into your food service account instead of increasing your student prices. So if you're not going to increase your student prices, this is the tab you'll complete. What you'll have to enter is your number of paid student lunches for the entire 2017-18 school year. You'll enter that into this box here. If you don't know that number, again, contact us at DESE and we can find that number for you and let you know what number to enter there. Then if you contributed non-federal funds for the purpose of paid lunch equity and you have it documented that it was for paid lunch equity between 2011 and 2018-19, then you will enter that information here. If you didn't contribute anything specifically for paid lunch equity, then you'll just leave this blank or leave it at 0. Then once I enter my meal counts here, so I entered the meal counts for the year at this school was 9,934, and then it tells me a price increase and the federal contribution that I'll be required to do. However, there's also a 10-cent cap for the federal contribution, and so this number at the bottom is what I would be required to use for non-federal funds. So that's the number that it originally calculates, but then it applies the 10-cent cap, and that $993.40 would be the amount of non-federal funds that I would be required to use if I did not want to increase my paid lunch price for the 2019-20 school year. If you want to use non-federal funds, you're done. Scroll down to the bottom of the screen and click Save. And again, please print off a copy to save in your records. That's all there is to completing the PLE tool in the web application system. Again, to me, it's a little easier than that Excel tool, so maybe give it a try. Call us if you have any questions when you're entering those numbers, or if you have any questions when you're completing that tool, and see if you maybe like doing it better in web applications than you do in the using the Excel tool. Just keep in mind that each year when we have the paid lunch equity tool, that it takes us a little while to get it into the web application system after the USDA releases the Excel tool. So once the Excel tool is released each year, then it will be a little while until it's available in web applications. So just keep that in mind if you are wanting to complete it in web applications instead. So again, please call if you have any questions. Thank you.